all know our pensions are in crisis, and it's mostly down to us. We're living longer and we're not saving enough. But is there another reason why our pension pots may be getting smaller? Well, fees and commissions take a huge bite out of them. And Panorama has discovered that in some cases, the equivalent of 80% of what we pay into our pension is then taken out again as charges. So instead of entering retirement with the comfort of a golden parachute, could we be left holding a lead balloon? Penny Haslam reports.
Into a pension has always involved a leap of faith. Skydiver Jane Buckle started paying into hers 21 years ago. Today, she's about to discover what's been happening to her money all those years. She's hoping for a smooth descent, but instead she could be heading for a crash landing.
Wow, Jane, that was amazing. That was great.
Absolutely fantastic.
A bit more exciting than talking about pensions,
yeah,
eh?
I'd much rather be skydiving any day than talking about pensions.
Well, I'm
Absolutely fantastic.
sorry about that. Pack up your chute and we'll go and have a chat.
Yeah, no worries.
Jane is a typical pension customer. For 2 decades, she's been paying around £25 a month into a pension plan run by Equitable Life and asking no questions. She's no idea how much she's been paying in fees to the people who invest her savings. We gave Jane's paperwork to a pensions expert to work out just how much she's been charged and how well her money's been invested.
It's great that Jane took the initiative and she's tried to provide for her retirement. And in that respect, I think she's pretty typical. Like a lot of people, she has tried to take responsibility.
But now the bad news. Tom also spotted that Jane's charges have doubled over the years, from half to 1%.
They're by no means the worst charges that you might come across in the pensions industry, but they're significantly higher than they were when she first started.
Are you aware then that your charges have gone up on your pension?
I am quite shocked about how much they are. I mean, I had no idea. I don't think there's anything clear on the paperwork that says what the charges are. It's not made very clear to you.
I was going to put a figure on the charges for you. You've paid £4,700 in charges alone.
Really? I mean, I don't know how much I've actually paid into the fund.
Getting on for about £22,000.
That's what I've paid in, OK.
So it's a fifth of what you've paid in has been taken away in charges.
That does come as quite a surprise to me.
Would it have made much difference to you had you found that out?
I might have taken some advice on whether to carry on paying into it or whether to move it to another company if I'd known that.
The average pension savings pot in the UK is around £33,000. On retirement, Jane's is going to be about £38,000. Most of us would accept paying a high fee if we got a good return on our money. So, has Jane's pension pot done well?
The average return she's had over the past 21 years has worked out at about 3% a year. It would have been around 4% a year if she hadn't been paying the charges, but the net return to her of around 3% a year for 21 years is really pretty poor.
If Jane had invested with a better performing pension, she could have doubled her money.
She'd be looking at a pension pot today not of around £38,000, but of around £75,000.
You can't get that money back, but you're surprised at how big that difference is.
Well, yeah, it is quite a big difference, but how can you possibly know whether you're investing with the right company or not?
Our expert's advice for Jane was pretty clear. Leave her current pension where it is, because moving it would incur penalties, but stop paying into it. Instead, she should find a better fund and pay in as much as she can afford to each month. Equitable Life did not comment on Jane's level of fees. However, they did say she'd lost out as a result of the failure of the regulators in the 1990s. They said Equitable Life is campaigning vigorously for the government to deliver on their promise and pay fair compensation. Some city insiders believed that the charges being levied on us have gone too far. Now an academic, Dr. Paul Woolley used to oversee an investment fund worth billions.
Pension funds are now paying double the fees they were 10 years ago in terms of fund management fees and brokerage. It amounts to about 1.5% a year in fees. But the net return to pension funds collectively has reduced. and it's reduced by the amount that fees have gone up.
So fees are going up, yet performance is going down. With the change in employment patterns and an end to final salary schemes, the risks involved in planning our retirements are being placed more and more on us as individuals. We're expected to seek out our own financial advice and take life-changing decisions with little or no expertise. Our Second City Insiders firm manages billions on behalf of pension funds. He says average customers are in the dark about the impact even apparently low charges have on our pensions.
These things compound. So a charge of 1.5% a year would result in about 38% of your savings during the life of the pension, from the time that you start, maybe in your 20s, till you die in your 80s. That would result in about 40%, 38–40% going in charges. It's a very large amount.
There's already a name for bad investments in the city. They're called dog funds. So what if we were to look for the pension plans with the worst fees? Welcome to our dog show with a difference. We've searched for the firms that take the biggest bite from our pensions. Our survey is based on data from a consumer education body, CFEB. 21 out of the 24 main pension companies volunteered the information to them and confirmed it as accurate. If we paid in £200 a month for 40 years with tax relief, that would come to £120,000. So as it's invested and grows, who takes the most in fees? Our experts will review the real dogs of the pension plan world. In third place, Legal & General's Co-Funds Portfolio Pension, taking £82,500 in fees, according to figures they supplied.
2/3 of what you pay in is eventually taken out in fees. What do you make of that?
I think it's awful, quite frankly. I think the real problem is that the annual management charge, whatever it is, say 1.5%, doesn't sound very much, but it builds up and it applies every year, and I don't think many people actually understood that when perhaps they took out the pension.
Legal & General confirmed the figures as accurate, both to CFEB in August and to Panorama in September. Last Thursday, they told us they'd recently discovered that the figures quoted on the CFEB website for the product were incorrect, as they were based on maximum commission fees. They said the correct figure is £61,000. Even so, the fund remains the third most expensive pension in CFEB's rankings. Second is the Co-op's individual personal pension. After we pay in £120,000, they take out nearly £96,000 in fees.
Now, a lot of people wouldn't expect the Co-op to be offering such an expensive pension, would they?
I'd really like to know how they can possibly justify that. They'll tell you that they have a much more complex range of funds on offer for your money. If you want a really simple pension fund, it doesn't cost very much, but if you want more for your money, you have to pay for it. However, there must surely be a limit to how much you do have to pay.
The Co-op said their charges were fully transparent and include not only investment costs, but also the administration expenses and financial advice provided. They said the Co-op is committed to an ongoing review of pension charges. But the company that takes the most in fees after our £120,000 is invested is HSBC. They take £99,900 in fees for their World Selection personal pension.
They reckon that they do a lot more than just a simplistic investment for you, and that's what you're paying for. And if that's what you want, if you're prepared to pay that sort of money, then maybe it's a product for you. But I say there's a lot more products to choose from out there. And the problem with the banks is they have a captive audience in all their banking customers.
It's difficult to judge this particular HSBC pension fund because it's only been going 18 months.
The warning signs may be there after a year or two. If the fund is not performing as it's supposed to do and you're not getting the returns, then it's no good paying high fees and getting low returns. You've got to balance this out and get the best deal.
During our research, HSBC told us 20% of the charges on this pension were pure profit.
I mean, it's a huge bank. Someone's got to pay for all those branches, someone's got to pay for all those personnel, someone's got to pay for all the advertising. They make a profit from all their products, and this is one of the ones they make quite a large profit on, obviously.
In In a statement, HSBC said their World Selection pension offers good value for money and is certainly not one of the most expensive pension schemes in the market. It said it had evidence of over 100 pension funds in the UK which are more costly. With big high street names taking large chunks out of our pensions, many of us are heading for a reality check. When we think about our retirement, the more optimistic among us have visions of a limousine lifestyle in old age. We'd like to sit back after a lifetime's work in some comfort, but fees and commissions along the way could put paid to that. So, who in the city is dipping their hands into our pension pots? We need a guide. Sam Instone is a former army officer turned financial advisor.
Hi, Sam. Come on in.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Fantastic.
So, what are you going to be showing us today?
We're going to be looking at exactly where your money goes through the city once it actually gets past the financial advisors.
OK, buckle up. So, when I go to get a pension, am I told about every sort of charge that is going to come out of it over the years?
No, lots of the charges are quite unclear with pensions. It's a little bit like an iceberg. The tip is above the water, and you can see that explicitly disclosed from the advisor, but a lot of the charges are hidden inside the city.
So, Sam, where have you brought us to here?
These are the officers of an insurance company. They're the first people to get hold of your money in the chain. They package up pensions like AXA, Standard Life and Prudential and sell it out to advisors that you'll sit in front of.
They're taking their cut, aren't they? What is that?
Absolutely. If you look in the small print, you'll see such charges as an annual management charge, an establishment charge, dealing fees, custody fees. It could be anything up to at least 1.5% per annum.
So, Sam, all those charges have shrunk my pension, a bit like the car, but there's more to come, isn't there? Where to next?
Straight on.
After the pension providers, it's the turn of the fund managers. They also take an annual charge.
The annual management charge is explicit. What isn't is the fact that they rebate half of that back to the product provider.
So when you say rebate, what do you mean?
Normally, the fund group will give half, or maybe in some cases more of that, back to the product provider, basically as a kickback.
And this is how it works.
When you make a pension payment, your money goes to a pension company. They then take their management fee and pass the money on to a fund manager in the city to invest it. The investment fund manager then takes their management fee and hands back some of your money to the pension company. Some pension companies give this money back to the customer and others keep it.
Critics believe these rebates or kickbacks encourage pension firms to leave our money in poorly performing funds just because they pay the biggest rebates. The trade body that represents pension companies says these payments are above board.